Yoga, can you see my screen? Karen?
Yeah, fancy.
Okay, let's begin this first. Thank you for joining this class. I'm so much grateful for your support, and thank you. God bless you. So, for today's lesson, I want us to talk about electrical power supply system. And in electrical power supply system, we will start with the generation of power. And after generation, the power will be distributed or transmitted to various stations before reaching the final consumer. So anyone can give us the first part. The first part, anyone can give us, that is electrical power. So who can give us the definition? Who? So the definition for electrical power supply, it is defined as the conveyance of electrical power from a generating station to the consumers. The power supply, it is the conveyance, that is the transmission of electrical power from the generating station to the final consumer. The final consumer can be the industry, can be you as a person, you as the person consuming this power. In the second part, we have an electrical supply system consists of three principal components. We have three components, that is the main principle. We have the power station or the generating station, the transmission lines, and the distribution system. Under the transmission line, we look at the primary and secondary transmission. Same case to distribution system. We have primary and secondary distribution system. Electric power is produced at the power stations, which are located at favorable places. If we can just mention what are the factors to consider when one wants to build a generating station. Can we have maybe 2 or 3 answers? Yes, we have the location. The second one? What is the raw material? We have a raw material. What is the raw material? Any person who can give us when you want to generate the electrical power, what can you consider as the raw material? Evans, can you give us what is, let's say you want to generate the hydroelectric power. Which raw material can you use?
We use water.
Yeah, use water. So we have the location. The location must be favorable for you to generate. Then you have the raw material, that is water. You must have enough water for you to generate the power. So we continue. It is then transmitted over long distance to load centers. When transmitting this power, the transmission, it is normally in bulk. It is normally in large quantities with the help of conductors known as transmission lines. These conductors are normally made of aluminum. Finally, it is distributed to a large number of small and big consumers through a distribution link. Classification of electrical power supply system. Electrical power supply is classified into 2 parts. We have the AC or DC system Under the AC system, we have the AC supply, single phase AC, two-phase AC, three-phase AC system. Then we have the second part is the overhead or underground supply system. Let me admit someone here, then we can continue. For generation and its transmission, we normally generate power, which is normally three-phase. Then we use a step-up transformer to step up the generated power. Then it will be transmitted. The power that will be transmitted is three-phase. The conductors we are going to use, or the type of transmission we are going to have, is the three-wire. What we mean with the three-wire is that we'll be having the red phase, the yellow phase, and the blue phase. A three-phase three-wire is more economical, while in distribution we will use a three-phase four-wire. What we mean by the four-wire is that there is an introduction of a neutral conductor. The underground system, it is more expensive. The only place you can use the underground system, if I can give an example, is the urban cities. You can have those cities which are mostly developed. You cannot find the overhead lines running along the buildings, the tall towers. So you will find that they will be using the underground system. We move to the typical AC power supply system. In the previous slide, we had the classification, we had the AC or DC supply system and the overhead. So we'll start with the AC power supply system. The large network of conductors between the power station and the consumers can be broadly divided into two parts. We have the transmission system and the distribution system. These two parts, they are further divided into two again. As I had said before, we have the primary transmission and the secondary transmission. Then we have the primary distribution and the secondary distribution. In the next slide, as you can see, you have the layout diagram of a typical AC system. We have the generating station, that is the GS. Then it will be stepped up from 11 kilovolts to 132 volts to 132 kilovolts. Then it will be transmitted to a receiving station or a grid station. That forms the primary transmission. Then it will be stepped down from 132 kilovolts to 33 kilovolts. Then thereafter it will be transmitted again to a substation. That forms the secondary transmission. At the substation it will be stepped down to 11 kilovolts. The 11 kilovolts forms after it's being stepped down at the substation to 11 kilovolts, it can now be distributed to various consumers. We have consumers consuming the power. In the power supplied to them maybe can be 11 kilovolts. Those are industries mostly. Those industries can be supplied with 11 kilovolts. Then it will be their mandatory to step down that power. Then from there it can be distributed to the edge pole mounted transformers, which will be stepped down to 240 volts and 415 volts, which can be used by the consumers. To just go through those parts in the layout, we have the generating station. We have said this. The generating station is where electric power is produced by three-phase alternators operating in parallel. The usual generation voltage is 11 kilovolts. Then it will be stepped up to 132 then transmitted to the receiving station. That forms the primary transmission. After reaching the receiving station, it will be stepped down to 33 kilovolts, then later transmitted to the substation. That forms the secondary transmission. From the receiving station to the substation, it will be forming a secondary transmission. At that the station will be having a power step down from 33 kV to 11 kilovolts. Then we have the primary distribution, that is from the receiving station to the substation. The power will be stepped down from 33 kV to 11 kilovolts. That is the same 3-phase 3-wire. Then the last part is the secondary transmission. The last part is the secondary transmission, where the power will be stepped down to 415 volts or 240 volts for single phase, and for 3-phase, for wire it will be 415. And if we have an industry around, it can be supplied with 11 kilovolts. Then in the last part, I have as an assignment for you: sketch and label the transmission and distribution of electrical power from the generating stations to the consumers. Do you have any person with a question? Do you have any person? Felix? There's a question from Felix. Felix Nambani, you have a question? Thank you. If there is no question, then I will end my class. You have a question there? Paul Onyango. The importance of the underground cabling. Can someone give us the importance? A trial? Who can give us the importance of underground cabling? As I had said in the first slide, that was the second slide if I'm not wrong, under classification of electrical power supply. The overhead system, it's normally cheaper and it can be used in remote areas, but for underground system, can you use an underground system in a remote area? It will be more expensive. And the importance of underground cabling system is because if you can have, I can give an instance of an urban city. Let me give an instance like these developed cities, a city like Tokyo or New York. Can you run the cable lines overhead? Then you have a tall building. Paul, can you run?
No.
Yeah. So the importance of underground systems, it will be helping us to solve the spaces, because those tall buildings, they will be creating obstruction for maybe the tall buildings, and if in case someone does that, it will be creating a danger. Cindy? Paul, are you there? Yeah, so I think I've answered your question. If there's a person who can add to that, I'm giving him or her about 5 minutes or 10 minutes.